Welcome to Andhra. Hello friends and viewers, welcome to Andhra. Today we have Ms. Teesta Setalvad with us to discuss about the election results and the Modi's cabinet which is being formed and the portfolios are not yet announced and the people are really waiting to know what the real status of the government is. Welcome to our show, ma'am. We had seen the social media campaign yesterday about the people are watching, the people are still watching the government. So you have to uphold the constitution, not in the words but in the work. We have seen so much of posters presenting that motto. Even in the past 10 years, the people were watching. Even after that, Modi got the status of being single largest party with 240 seats with these allies. He got the majority. And in what way people are watching is going to work out, man?
This was not a fair election. This was not a level playing
Mm.
field. The ruling party, along with all the state agencies, how they targeted the opposition, and how the ruling party appointed an election commission that was subservient to it, defying a judgment of the Supreme Court. All of this meant that the statutory body like the election commission, which is meant to ensure at every step along the way that it will be a level playing field, whether it is in terms of election spending, whether it is in terms of policy decisions being announced, whether it is in terms of violation of model code of conduct or hate speeches by the Prime Minister himself. Basically, the BJP and its allies enjoyed impunity. And the Prime Minister was able to get away with a very, very significant level of violations of the model code of conduct. Despite that, and in spite of that, now let me come to your answer. In spite of that, this result is before us. Arguably, I'd like to say, because regardless of what the ruling regime might say about those who are critiques of the EVMs and the counting process, I think in a democracy, every system needs to be questioned, and citizens have a right to question that system right till the end. And it is the duty of institutions and the government to reassure citizens that the system is fair. We are not living in a monarchy or a Rajashahi or a autocracy where nobody has a right to question. So regardless of the threats coming from the top, I think we need to retain questions about whether the counting has been free or fair. And I'm saying this because in many cases, there are complaints coming up. Some are saying 30 seats, some are saying 60 seats. In any case, I think this time, unlike in the past, where the opposition parties have failed to fight the cases till the end, I think they will file cases and they will probably battle it out because we've seen a stronger opposition. So I just want to say it was not a free and fair election in the best sense of the term. It was not a level playing field. Opposition leaders were targeted, from the DMK to Mr. Hemant Soren is still in jail. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has to go back to jail. ED cases, income tax raids, Congress party accounts being frozen. So there were lots and lots of attempts to ensure a crippled opposition.
Okay.
Despite that, I think the opposition put up a fiery fight. And I think for me as a citizen, apart from being a journalist and a human rights defender, to see a political opposition which is robust and fighting is reassuring, because we don't have any allegiance to any party. Tomorrow, if any other party were to come to power and were to abuse the rule of law, the constitution, we'd be equally vocal like I was vocal in 1977. But I'd like to say, I do not think this election would have got the momentum it did from the opposition, but from a vast array of people's organizations, trade unions, people's groups, citizens groups, what the fashionable term is civil society now. But for this engagement, I don't think this equation would have come together.
How do you see the role of civil society organizations in this election now?
I think they played the role of pushing the opposition really hard to play the role that it's meant to play. I'm not trying to take away the role of the opposition itself. Obviously, they are at the front fire. They are taking all the attacks. But I mean, for a long, long time during this regime, between 2016 and 2022, for instance, and I'm talking about Western India and Northern India and Central India, there was really no sign of the opposition. We had students fighting, we had Hyderabad Central University, the Rohit case, we had JNU, Umar Khalid fighting, we had Kanhaiya fighting, but we didn't really have a robust political opposition on the streets as it ought to have been all the time. I'm saying this as a citizen. What happened, I think, was post the Karnataka elections, there was a certain feeling among citizens groups and civil society that we can do it. And I was associated with the civil society mobilization for the state elections. And I think the fact that people's movements and human rights organizations never really got into voter awareness programs, what it means to cast a vote, how to cast a vote, understanding the law, understanding the procedure. This is the first time it started happening. And then when there was a success there was an attempt at a national level in a disparate form. It was not organized. There was no central command. People in different states took it up differently. So Maharashtra, we had maybe 5 or 6 formations, different kinds of groups doing it. In other states, it was something else. I don't even know what it was. But at some point, the united echo came out, both at the grassroots and in the social media. And I think this is a very important part because Article 324 and 326 of the Constitution gives you and me the right to free and fair elections, which means also a right to be an aware voter and to be able to exercise my choice freely and fairly.
About the independent media houses. In the past 10 years, we have seen the journalists being threatened, the independent media houses being threatened with the IT raids, ED raids, what happened with the News Laundry, News Click, we have seen that. Can we feel the sense of relief now?
My personal belief is that we can't feel any sense of relief when a party like the BJP is in power. This is my personal belief because I believe that, and I don't mean any BJP per se, though I know that under the NDA rule of Vajpayee ji between 1999 and 2004, you didn't have this evidence, but you did have the killing of Graham Steins. You had the justification of the murder of Steins by none less than the Deputy Prime Minister L.K. Advani. You had even the Gujarat pogrom under his watch. I'm not getting into that, but I do want to say that this particular leadership of the BJP is the most vicarious, is the most autocratic, cannot tolerate dissent, and therefore it will be very welcome if we can really feel that there's been a big change. What I feel will happen, however, is that the change will come because there'll be a vocal and confident opposition. That today the opposition will not feel demoralized, that it has no place in parliament, it has no place among the people of India. Because, if you look at the figures, what is amazing about the figures, and let me start with Uttar Pradesh, is that the amazing support that the India allies have got thanks to the unique equation put together by Akhilesh, and in which Rahul Gandhi's leadership played a huge role as well, which is the PDA, the whole PDA formula, which is the Pichda Dalit Adivasi. And then if you look at the figures, you find there have been shifts. There have been shifts in voting patterns. Of course, there are Yadavs, but there are also the Kurmis, there are also the other OBCs. There are also the Jatav, which is the traditional Mayavati vote, the Bahujan Samaj Party vote. Some of it, a quarter of it, has come here. The non-Jatav Dalit vote, and of course the Muslim and the Christian vote. So upper caste is only 16%, whereas the NDA has 79%. So there is some work there to be done for the opposition as well, I believe, because when you're looking at a coalition, maybe they should also communicate to the more privileged sections that when we talk about caste censorship, when we talk about all our schemes, which are very, very important for social justice, we are also speaking for you, because unless you have an India which is coming forward at all levels, no section can prosper. All of this still is work in progress, but I think the 7-phase election, which the Modi government thought would work in its favor, so many factors seem to work as the election unfolded in the favor of the opposition. I think also that the role of independent media and the YouTubers was nothing short of courageous and exemplary, because whether it's the Tamil language or the Hindi language or the English language, Marathi language, Gujarati language, I mean, these are the ones I know about, Bengali as well. They actually took a very, very independent stand. And let's not forget the young Mr. Dhruv Rathi, who's captured the heart of so many, many young Indians with his precise and analytical videos. I think this actually shifted away viewership from the entrenched supplicant commercial media, who only got their TRPs when they got people like maybe so-called psephologists who got discredited. I won't name them, and they got their TRPs through that, because even we wanted to watch what they're saying. But otherwise, most people were watching the independent media. And I think this is a huge success. Now, the independent media is on YouTube. It's on that platform. We know how this platform, it's your own experience of the Tribes channel and others who fought that valiant battle 2022, 2023, that how the YouTube aligns with the government of the day. So it is our challenge now as independent media people, because I'm a media person as well, to ensure that the space we have earned for ourselves gets protected, and that the government does not undertake any policy decisions, which they are trying to. Remember Kunal Kamra's case is pending in the Supreme Court, where they are trying to curtail the freedom of speech and the free functioning of independent media.
The CJP also released a manifesto this year, demanding the withdrawal of many laws that have been created in the last 10 years, demanding changes in the laws that have been passed. So, what is the status now? And we know you have been working hard in the areas of Assam and the eastern part of India. So, even in that area, BJP is retaining their vote bank, and in some places it is increasing. How do you see that, ma'am? And how do you see the working of your manifesto this year?
So I'll divide my answer into two parts. I'll just talk about the manifesto briefly, and then I'll talk about the BJP's growth. One is that, the Citizens for Justice and Peace and the People's Union for Civil Liberties, Maharashtra, came out with this Human Rights Manifesto for 2024. And when we released it, we had a very important discussion where we felt the moment elections are over, we need to take this to every segment of the ruling party and the opposition to say we want this manifesto implement. And yes, the most important segment of it is, apart from various sectoral issues, there is a repeal of almost like some 31 or 32 extremely egregious laws. I can't read them all out here, but they include the problematic Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita of 2023, the new criminal laws, the draconian UAPA, the Telecommunications Act, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, the amendments to the Press and Registration Periodicals Act, all of which affects the free media, free speech and free media. Also, the CAA, let's not forget, the CAA law, the Information Technology Amendments establishing a fact-check unit. You know about that. So then the Chief Election Commissioner and other Election Commissioners Appointment Act, which was brought in 2023 to circumvent Justice Joseph and other judges' judgment, where they asked for the Chief Justice to be on the committee that appoints the Election Commissioner. Repeals the state laws on cow slaughter that have caused so many lynchings all over the country. The Forest Conservation Amendment Act of 2023, that is affecting the implementation of the Forest Rights Act for Adivasi. So there are, I can't read them all out, but there are many, many laws which we have argued need to be repealed. The opposition needs to make a consistent effort to ensure that their agenda for providing of jobs, because a lot of the youth voted for the opposition. So whether it is the NEET exam and the opposition to that exam, which Tamil Nadu has taken up very strongly, needs to be pushed by the opposition, needs to be pushed by us. The withdrawal of the national education policy through maybe Chandrababu Naidu and Nitish Kumar. However little faith we have in these allies, we need to push these agendas. They've already made some statement on CAA and other aspects of the the Agniveer scheme. So I think we need to push wherever we get spaces within this coalition, though it's an imbalanced coalition, we need to push to ensure that when Parliament begins, much of these agendas get tabled. And the opposition will table them, and they need to be tabled systematically. They need to be debated properly. And equally well, even the whole stock market scam that happened after the exit polls, which has been highlighted by so many YouTubers and then was picked up by the largest opposition party, the Congress, which showed a kind of extremely unholy nexus between the exit poll pollsters and the mutual fund managers and the stock market, and some funds which are raking up this money who might probably be abroad. So I think a lot of these issues need to be taken up. But let's not forget that the overwhelming section of people who voted for the opposition parties, if we have to keep their hope alive and their commitment to an opposition politics alive, the opposition needs to communicate through rigorous people's programs that we are not going to be quiet after the result, that we are going to take up joblessness, poverty, hunger, social justice consistently on the streets, in Parliament. And we are going to raise it. We are not going to be sitting quietly for the next 5 years. Hopefully, it'll be much less than that. Now, coming to the support of the BJP. What really worries me about the last 15 years, I mean, last 10 years, and now we are going to the third term of this government, is that somehow the other ideologically, the challenge for social movements and for opposition politics is to distinguish between the RSS BJP and other parties. Okay, that is something we are not able to do effectively. It is this election, we have this result because of the overwhelming despair suffered by Indians because of the crony capitalism and the brutal policies of this regime. But we need to get people to understand what authoritarian fascism is and why ideologically this party and this force stands something which is the anathema to India. And unless we find a language in which will have to be different for different regions, see what happened in Odisha, see what happened in East India, like you were saying, Kerala, even Kerala, that people are treating BJP like there is no alternative, that this is the alternative party.
Yes.
It might be an alternate party, but it is also a party with a very dangerous agenda for this country. And that is something that needs to be communicated south to east to north.
Okay. Let's see what happens. Thank you for this conversation, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much.